Why Sargeras stabbed Azeroth. Finally revealed, it's the crystal. We do know from the backstory so far that the crystal actually became more active or started switching between void and light once Sargeras stabbed the planet. We've seen before that Naru, when they get damaged, they start to transition between the two. That's likely what's caused this and why we believe there is a Naru inside this crystal. But let's see what Doran has to say about the lore of Sargeras' stabbing of Azeroth.
New information from the Void Within Alpha challenges everything we had ever known about the Sword of Sargeras. We just discovered what appears to be the 5th old god in the ancient history of Azeroth.
This thing is crazy. There's a whole video on my channel about it. I can't believe that this art is here, and the way that they're feeding Nerubians to this old god. Who this old god is, we still don't know.
And next to him is a void crystal.
There's a giant crystal
as
next
the
to him,
sun, also in ancient history. This appears to be the crystal from Hallowfall that we just learned changed into the void for the first time in recent history, exactly when Sargeras had stabbed Azeroth. They just confirmed this in the alpha. If this is the primordial crystal that actually created Azeroth, that the Titans had purified from the void, was the entire Sword of Sargeras ordeal one big screw you, I was right move for the Titans. See, the Titans thought they could contain the void. Sargeras believed the Crusade was the only answer, wiping out the universe and starting from scratch. This disagreement led to Sargeras wiping out the Pantheon as well. Then in Legion, the Titans returned, put Sargeras and his Crusade to an end, and in last-ditch effort, he might have reactivated the crystals to tell them, well, let's see, if you guys are so smart, try to contain this, then you will see the Burning Crusade was the only...
Okay, that seems like something Sargeras would do. So basically he's saying, oh, you guys thought you could just contain the void rather than wiping it out the way I wanted to do? Let's see if you can do it. And he stabbed the planet and basically opened the way for the void to come into Azeroth.
Wait, we know the void is invading, the Titans are returning, so what is even going on? I know, sounds a bit crazy, but hear me out because a lot of crazy new information just dropped. Actually playing WoW on your phone is possible with Awesome. This video is sponsored. Yes. You can not only check in on your characters, but you can do things like pet battles and even fully play the game. Awesome allows you to control the computer through your phone completely free, available for Windows, iOS, and Android.
WoW
it's
Mobile.
Super easy to use. Check out my link in the description, download the PC and the phone app, and just simply connect it. The free version is great, and you can control a desktop, transfer files and such, but the real deal is the game version with custom keyboards for various games other than just WoW, and you can enjoy AFK gaming at any time, anywhere with sound. Make sure to use my code ORON to get 7 days completely free only for the first 200 people. They also got a smart lock to turn off your PC at any time, as well as hot sales with up to 40% off on Pro and Game versions. Check out Awesome.
There it is. Check it out.
So, if you have been following the lore for any period of time, you definitely know about the Burning Legion and Sargeras and why he started the Burning Crusade in the first place. He was, as a Titan, so shocked by the fact that the Void exists, he saw it as such an existential threat to the universe, to order itself, that he decided to just wipe it out. Delete every planet, destroy everything, start it anew. There is no point in following the Titan mission of trying to order planets or defeat them, because these guys are so insidious, they will appear again no matter what you do.
Right. That was how he saw the void. But he stabbed Silithus. How does that line up with the crystal? You're right that Kaz-Elgar is technically off the coast of Pandaria, right? It's towards the bottom of Azeroth. But he stabbed Silithus. I don't think he was aiming for Silithus. You got to remember, this is like a planet-sized sword. So I don't think he had to necessarily stab the exact spot to affect or shake it enough to mess up the crystal. I think he just wanted to stab the planet, knowing that it would destroy the planet enough or cause enough damage to, in essence, affect the crystal. Don't forget, in BFA, I mean, the sword and the planet led to leakage of azurite everywhere. It wasn't just near the sword. So that's a big thing that you got to remember, that just the size and scale of the sword could have led to damage everywhere, you know, outside of where the stabbing happened.
Well, the Titan Pantheon didn't exactly agree with this plan. They thought it was too aggressive. They had a big fight. So
he was aiming for the Titan within, maybe.
Went on with the Crusade anyway, until the Pantheon returned and defeated him instead. And then he decided to plunge the sword, as we had seen at the end of Legion. This is the kind of known lore, but with the recent changes to the Titan lore, narratives, and everything, I mean, this seems like such a hilarious, overly simplistic way to look at things. Most of everything we know about Sargeras and the Burning Crusade is coming from Titan propaganda and their side of things. New alpha documents once again double down that the Titans are liars, that they are in fact oppressive. Do you really think these are some benevolent, god figures going around planting life, making planets perfect, and trying to fight the darkness. It is so obvious now that that is not the case. That is not the narrative itself. However, recent alpha information, and I'm talking recent, like a week ago, gave us some incredibly interesting implications that completely challenges everything we had ever known about Sargeras and the sword. Two big things here.
If we're going to talk about the actual mechanics of a sword that size being stabbed into the planet, it would have ended the world. I don't think the world would have survived it. Just the amount of dust and everything that would have been kicked up into the atmosphere, he probably would have destroyed the atmosphere. Just coming through, that shit would have burned off the atmosphere and it killed us all. So, yeah, we got to hold back on the science and just, suspend our belief for fantasy purposes.
First, we learned that the crystal in Hallowfall started turning into the void for the
it would have
first
cost
time
tsunamis
in
for sure.
history when the stabbing happened at the end of Legion.
Look at this. Look at that atmospheric burning, man. It would have been the end of us for sure.
At the end of Legion,
at least caused a hole in the ozone.
We found this little artwork in the Nerubian zone of what appears to be the 5th undiscovered old god, showing us ancient history, very likely with the void crystal in the...
I don't think he's speculating too hard here. I do think that this is a reference to the crystal in Hallowfall, most definitely.
Sky. If you take this for what it is so contradictory that it doesn't make any sense on first glance. Why would Sargeras stab Azeroth in order to help the old gods? Wasn't his entire shtick that he was trying to destroy them? I mean, he cared more about destroying them than he did us, and I think his entire action was, as I said, one big screw you, I was right, to the Titan Pantheon. And let me just explain to you a few recent lore changes that will make sense of this. So in one of the recent videos, I talked about that 5th old god. Previously, Blizzard had set it up multiple times that a 5th old god exists. They brought back a retcon documented Dragonflight. They said the Titans are lying. That there
was a time when people thought Xal'atath was the 5th old god. I think that's all but, confirmed to not be true at this point. I don't think Xal'atath is a harbinger of a Void Lord. That's what she's going to do. She is not an old god.
Move the old god influence.
So now these hints at a 5th old god could be something else.
Azeroth, and that they had in fact hidden something beyond the waves. Apparently, they're playing dumb, even though something really important is hidden beyond the waves, and as you may know, Khazakar is kind of behind the waves. Then they talked about how Xal'atath and the Nerubians are harvesting old god blood in Khazakar, and lo and behold, we reach the lair and we find this really interesting little mural. It shows what appears to be a mix between Y'Shaarj and Azoth, and it's an old god we had never actually seen. As we previously learned, old gods battle between themselves, and it was strongly implied one of them got destroyed in the civil wars in the past. It is likely this guy. Now, for some reason, people started talking this is N'Zoth because body-wise he's closest to him, but he has like the eyes of Y'Shaarj. But just look at the map. N'Zoth is nowhere really close location-wise. We have a general idea of how the Blank Empire was organized.
Man, Tweaked, I was having a good day. Why you gotta bring up the jailer in chat? Why you gotta do that? Shit, the jailer's plan. Oh my god. Oh, fucking horrible lore. Azeroth is the 5th old god, plot twist whispering to us right now. Psh, I don't know. One thing I will say, very weird that the whispers to Magni have completely gone silent. While everyone else is hearing the Song of Azeroth now, I don't know if you guys know this, but in the lore, Magni is no longer being able, he can no longer hear anything from Azeroth, which makes me think, who the hell was talking to Magni before? Who was talking to him before? Because now Azeroth's talking to everybody but him. Which makes me think that the whispers he was hearing before were not from her. I don't know. Kind of weird, though. Yeah, but he's been a dud, man. He sucks at everything he's done, honestly. What has Magni done?
Usually old gods are planted, and from them, like, their territory spread. First of all, this Khazakar face here was created back when Azeroth was a mega continent, so one
Helena,
continent,
happy
and
Annie.
it must have been somewhere below the continent, as this was a giant hole even back then. N'Zoth was based all the way where the Eastern Kingdoms are. The only guys are Khatoon and Y'Shaarj that are close to him location-wise. We've seen Khatoon, we know where he is, we fought him. Y'Shaarj has been ripped out where the Well of Eternity was. Additionally, after the Black Empire was defeated, Elune and Eonar planted the first ever World 3 Eluna here that was subsequently ripped out upon the biggest source of old god corruption.
Big theory here, Eluna here is the crater where Khazalgar now is. Because there's roots under there and everything. You'll see it when we start to dive into the zones when we play the expansion. Very odd. Everyone's saying now that that's probably the crater that was left behind when Aman'Thul, that bitch, ripped Eluna here out.
And lo and behold, it was just confirmed in the alpha
There's
that
the roots right
here
there. Look.
really are of the World Tree. And
Oh, it was confirmed? Okay, there you go. It's not a
no
theory
longer
anymore.
really a speculation. And why am I talking about the fifth old god? Well, not because he seems to be sacrificing the Nerubians, but because the Void Crystal...
Ungoro is another crater. There's multiple craters where old trees once existed. Yeah.
is next to him in this image.
Couple.
Some people are saying this could be the Dark Heart, which seems a little bit ridiculous as this is an artifact that's been created and it obviously has a million of these light rays that are signaling this is the Hallowfall crystal. After all, the crystal Belladon...
I want to say there used to be, I mean, I'm pulling this number out of my ass. There was like 6 world trees at one point or something. One of them was destroyed when the Night Elves basically used their souls and everything to blast away, not Sargeras, fucking other guy, the other one. Whatever, it's the cinematic where they blast him away. It's one of the old Warcraft cinematics. And then the other one was ripped out by Aman'Thul. There was other reasons why other ones have died. Obviously, Darnassus got burned to the ground. Yeah, Nordrassil was another one. Yep, that's the one that I'm talking about. So there's been a couple world trees. There hasn't just been one.
Is working as the sun, so why would they place the sun rays next to the crystal? However,
yeah, probably
this mural completely shoots down our theory that this is a recent Naru ship that had arrived to the zone, because why would it be a void crystal in the ancient past back when the Black Empire was at its peak? Keep in mind, we still don't know whether this image from Ashkahet is a vision of the future or of the past, but very likely it is what happened in the past. And if this is the defeated old god, this is beyond ancient history. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of years, which means in the ancient past, the light crystal was instead a void crystal. Now, I'm going a little bit crazy here, but bear with me for a second because it's all going to make sense. So we recently learned that the light humans only arrived 15 years ago and they got a vision from the crystal. The light emperor that we never knew about sent them from another continent that we're yet to discover. They are the ones that named it Belladon, which makes sense. They're half-elves. Belore means sun in their language. Belladar sounds like a Naru ship. It has runes. It is transforming into the void much like the Naru do that are inside ships, so we thought this was a ship as well. However, hear me out. If you guys watched my video on the crystal, I had proposed another completely legitimate theory, and that is that the crystal is not a Naru ship, but that it is the primordial crystal from the formation of the universe. This is entirely supported by the lore. Apparently, when the universe was born in the clash of the light and the void, gigantic shards of light were flung across the universe. They stabbed planets, and from these crystals, all life was created, potentially even the world soul itself. Interesting enough, Naru are also created from these crystals as well, but that is a topic for another video. Now, why I think this could be the original crystal is because this is actually buried underground. We're discovering it like 2 zones deep. So my idea is that these light crystals are the originators of life, and that the void had realized they can use it to hijack it. They can use this ancient creation mechanism and they can turn it to their side to pump the void instead. Remember ancient Titan lore?
That would make sense, I guess. Yeah, these original light crystals that created life, and they're converting it to the void. I guess that then it would create void beings, maybe. I thought it was cooler when I thought it was the sword, the tip of the sword. A lot of people thought it was the tip of the sword. I still think it's just a Naru ship with an old Naru in it.
Apparently, the old gods were
so it's not the sword now.
Before they can manage to corrupt Azeroth fully, and then the Titans came in and they foiled their plans. The fifth old god might show the peak of the Black Empire and how the Nerubians were sacrificing themselves to turn this crystal into the void and turn the world soul into the void as well. You would imagine the Titans realized this, they decided to purify the crystal, and this is what they hid beyond the waves that they have hinted at previously. They knew this crystal was like a nuclear power plant type disaster, so first Eonara tried to plant a World Tree, then they decided to rip it out and send their servants to seal this place, and then they hid it as we had just discovered this place even exists. Xal'atath obviously knew about this place, hence she decided.
There's literally Xal'atath standing next to that crystal in what's it called? Season of Discovery. She's standing right next to where it crashed originally all those years ago, so she knows about it.
Actually come to Khazakar. Now, all of this brings us to Sargeras and the entire point of this video. Do you find it interesting that after all this time, the crystal turns back into the void the moment Sargeras stabs Azeroth? Well, as I was saying, this is all related to the mission. If you guys follow the recent hints we got from that orc hermit that is next to the sword and Siltus, like this is brand new dialogue from the Ranga fight, he told us Sargeras isn't really all that different from the Titans. They essentially have the same intentions, they just express them in different ways. So the entire shtick with the sword was one big screw you to the Titans. See, back in the day, Sargeras was the lead champion of the Titan Order. He was the one that was enforcing their mission of ordering the universe. All until he had encountered the Void, the Old Gods, and he kinda went crazy when he realized what they really are. There's a guy that has been fighting every possible type of creature.
Sargeras basically had a "this city must be purged" moment, like Arthas did, but all the way back then when he first saw the Void. For him, it wasn't a city. He basically said, "This cosmos must be purged." And he just believed that the only way to destroy the Void and end the Void and the threat of it is to destroy everything and start over again.
Across the universe, he realized these guys cannot be defeated conventionally and that something drastic like wiping out the universe was needed. The Titans disagreed on the matter and they believed they can contain it instead with their mechanisms, which ultimately led them to battle where Sargeras had wiped them out as well. Keep in mind, this battle happened after Azeroth was ordered and potentially after the crystal was purified. Sargeras realized that cleaning out the Void Crystal and imprisoning the Old Gods is just putting on a band-aid. I mean, a band-aid that could hold on for thousands of years, but that eventually it will break. His goal since then was to wipe out Azeroth as a part of the Crusade. That is why he invaded us. So when the Titans got their form back a decade ago and they decided to put an end to his plan, his burning Crusade, he came out and decided, oh yeah, you guys really think you're smart? Well, let me restart the crystal.
Let me fuck this up before I leave.
And let's get the Void to come back in full force. And now I'll see how you're going to be dealing with them. That is pretty much exactly what is happening in the World Sword Saga. Sargeras stabbed Azeroth, the crystal started turning into the Void, all sorts of crazies came out.
He got the story wrong. That's not what happened. Sargeras stabbed Azeroth, then a bald, big-nippled boss shows up out of nowhere. We break everything that ever happened in the lore. The Lich King's lore is completely shat on. We go to the Shadowlands, do a bunch of shit over there, and the Jailer's plan, so we think. We're not even sure what the hell we did over there. And then we come back, and now there's a sword again. That's what happened. He got it wrong.
The woodworks,
forgot about all the other shit.
Destroying Harbinger and the Rubians, Old God minions, and now Void Lords will invade us. Ultimately, we also know the Titans are going to have to come in person to Azeroth once again, and Sargeras really did accomplish his mission when you think about it. This might have been a huge move to convince the Titans that, yeah, the Burning Crusade is really the only way, and we might literally be getting the Titans coming out as a new type of Sargeras, maybe even allied with Sargeras. I know, definitely a huge theory based on the very recent information, but just think about a few factors and decide for yourself.
What if these Titans fucking get their asses kicked right now, just like Sargeras predicted, and then Sargeras is the last Titan? Maybe. Could happen. Just saying. I mean, we're supposed to take an L at some point, right? That was confirmed by Blizzard. Midnight expansion, the Void wins supposedly in that, and we're like backs against the wall. Maybe they try to go like full-on fight, right? Eridicron fights these Titans, because that's what he wants. The Titans lose, and there's only one Titan left, the one who wasn't in the fight, the one who's still sitting back on the ship in prison with Illidan. The last Titan. Maybe.
Why did the sword cause the crystal to change into
Damn
the
it,
Void?
tweet.
Why is the crystal a Void thing back when Azeroth was being corrupted during the Black Empire? Also, why was the sword such a focal point of the World Soul Saga presentation, despite the fact that we're not even in Siltus and we are in Khazlagar instead? Additionally, seeing that the sword is opening the saga, it is very likely they're symbolizing that this is going to be closing it as well, and that is exactly what is going to trigger the Titans to return in The Last Titan. Thank you for watching. Check out the damn channels on the regional Azeroth by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on the cult of Mithras and Roman mythology by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thought on some of this stuff. Obviously, you know, Sargeras' motivations seem pretty clear at this point. He just wanted to fuck everything up before he left. Now, there's been that theory that he wanted to awaken Azeroth, break her prison open because she's in prison. That stuff could be true still, too. And what the crystal is, bouncing between this original light crystal of life and a Naru ship, all that, who knows? We're going to find out a lot of this stuff going forward. What we do know is the sword triggered the void transitions in the crystal, and clearly the void is after the crystal for whatever reason. We'll find out a lot of this stuff in the next expansion.